Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed colleagues. For me, it's a great pleasure and honor to present this lecture in front of you. And the title of my presentation tonight is Heraldry in Macedonia. My name is Dr. Jovan Jonovski. I am a member of the International Academy of Heraldry and President and Chief Herald of the Macedonian Heraldic Society. So, today, before we start with the heraldry in Macedonia, let's have a shortest history and shortest geography of Macedonia. Macedonia is a region in southeastern Europe, and until the 2nd century BC, it was a Macedonian kingdom, best known by Philip II and Alexander the Great, his son. In 150 BC, it became a Roman province, and then with division of the Eastern and Western Roman Empire, it became part of the Byzantine Empire until the 9th century. Then, few kingdoms has changed. In the 9th century, it was the Bulgarian kingdom, then in the late 10th century, kingdom of Samuel, and then came back under the Byzantine control for the next 3 centuries. Then, in the 14th centuries, it was part of the Serbian kingdom before it fell under the Ottoman Empire in 1395, and there stayed there for the next 500 years. With the Balkan Wars of 1912, it became part of Serbia, and then in the part of Kingdom of Yugoslavia, and from after the World War II, from 1945 till 1991, was part of the Socialist Federative Republic of Yugoslavia, where it gained independence in 1991. So, what we will be seeing today, first is the proto-heraldry connected to Macedonia. This is from the 12th century, and then we have the heraldry of the symbols from the 14th centuries. Then we move to Europe, the European heraldry connected to Macedonia through the attributed arms of Alexander the Great the Macedonian, attributed arms of King of Macedonia, and attributed arms of Prince of Emathia. Then we'll move to Illyrian heraldry with the Illyrian armorials and stematiographias, and then we go to the contemporary heraldry, which will see the state heraldry, municipal heraldry, and personal heraldry. So let's start. The proto-heraldry status or period we could see for the fresco of Holy Warriors of St. Panteleimon Church in Nerezi, near Skopje, painted in 1164. This fresco shows 6 holy warriors: St. Mercurius, St. Theodore Stratilas, Theodore Tyron, St. George, and Demetrius, and Nestorius, all of whom are having shields. These are attributed arms because these 6 holy warriors lived long before the heraldry was around. So, let's move to the heraldry of symbols. The first is the banner of Skopje, shown on the Portolan of Angelino Dulcerti in 1339. It is a banner or double-headed eagle gules. Then we call this heraldry of symbols because this is happening only practically in one generation of the Serbian kingdom in Macedonia, and then very soon it will fall under the Ottoman Empire. So practically we don't have the core part of the heraldry is the hereditary. So therefore we are speaking not heraldry of rules, but heraldry of symbols. So we could see the seal of King Volkashin of Prilep, 1370. It shows the helm with crest. So it was a popular way of showing the heraldic achievement. We could also see this on a tombstone of Nicholas Stankiewicz, practically from the same period. We also have a helmet with a crest, but from this period we could still see full armoral achievement. It's the seal of Vuk Brankovic, ruler of Skopje. Then in 1395, Macedonia fell under the Ottoman Empire, and due to the Islamic understanding of the use of images, the heraldry soon will cease to exist. But heraldry connected to Macedonia continued in Europe. The first arms attributed to Alexander the Great appeared in the early 13th century, most probably in 1210 in the works of Roger IV of Lille, History ancienne jusqu'à César. One of the very important moment is basically the composition of 9 worthies. That is basically first time mentioned in Jacques de Leyen epic poem Le Vœu du Pont, performed before the Bishop of Liege in 1312, and it is a triad of triads. 3 good pagans, Hector of Troy, Alexander the Great, and Julius Caesar, then good Jews, Joshua, King David, and Judah Maccabeus, and 3 Christians, King Arthur, Charlemagne, and Godfrey of Bouillon, the King of Jerusalem. And as we could imagine, all of those, practically all of those, are attributed coat of arms. We could see that these 9 worthies appear in many compositions, in manuscript illustration, and roll of arms. We could see even on stone plastic based on statues. Then we have frescoes. So let's see with the coat of arms of Alexander the Great in the Thomas Marquis of Sales, the Le Chevalier Errant. We see here Alexander the Great holding a shield depicted with a lion holding a battle axe. Then this composition, as I said, is basically a part of all armorials. We could see here 2 examples. One is from Anton Sork in Augsburg in 1483. Now Alexander the Great now is represented with the coat of arms, which is gules, 3 crowns or. But then on the other side we have the Armas dos Nove de Fama, as in Portuguese manuscripts from 1675. Here we could see Alexander the Great is gules, but with a lion or holding an ox sitting in a throne. And as we could see here, basically that the authors that were drawing this composition many times did not take care of who is represented by what blazon. So we could see, for example, the 3 crowns from Anton Sork here are representing the King Arthur. And the most actually stable coat of arms here is of Psalmist David with harp. And we could see basically that in the Latin sources, including the English sources, Alexander the Great most often is presented with a lion. Either it is a lion rampant, or a lion holding an axe, or a lion seated in a throne holding a battle axe or a halberd. And here we see the example of La Face de las Conquêtes d'Alexandre le Grand, and basically this is called the old literature genre is the Romance of Alexander. And then we see the same blazon with Jérôme de Barra in the Blason des Armories, 1572. So we could see that basically in the English and the Latin manuscripts we have here. We could see here back that King Arthur's coat of arms, instead of 3 crowns, now has 13 crowns. A variation of this. But as speaking of German sources, or the Holy Roman Empire, we see that King Alexander has a coat of arms with 3 crowns. We could see here the city hall in Cologne from 1349, representing of 9 worthies with Alexander the Great. Also, we could see the Monte Castle in Italy from 1430. Alexander the Great here is also represented with a lion sitting in a throne. And we could see here from Halle-Maron, from the German variation, King Alexander King of Macedonia, in this case not Alexander, but having the same composition with 3 crowns. Alexander the Great, just to say it again, in the Latin, including French and English sources, King Alexander the Great is a lion with the 3 basically variation. One is the throne, seated on the throne with a hellebarde with a battle axe. Then is the lion rampant, and the lion holding an axe or a sword. A color combination is ore and gules, many times countercharged. Okay, speaking of German armorials, we could see this Bavarian library, the armorial called the Bavarian Armorial from 1530. Basically, it's a collection of different armorials. But we could see here we have the 3, not crowns this time, we have bells, but also we have the griffon. We have sable, griffon, argent, with several combinations from the same armorial. As I mentioned, these are basically a composite armorial of many armorials. Also, we see the Alexander the Great in another Alexander romance from the 13th century, and from the Brussels library, also with the 3 crowns. Okay, apart from Alexander the Great, attributed arms of Alexander the Great, we have the King of Macedonia. Also attributed arms, so is not a specific king, but the king has a position. We see here the Miltenberg, the reconstruction from the 15th century, and also King of Macedonia, but now going back to Bavarian library from 1530, and we could see 2 different combinations. One is gules with 3 bars embattled, fimbriated ore, and the second one is ore 3 fire steel sable. And the third one is Macedonia's Prince of Emathia, also speaking about attributed arms. Macedonia's is basically the mythical forefather of Macedonians, and Emathia is basically the old name from Macedonia. This is from 1586, Glory of Generosity, John Fern from London. We could see different combination also for a coat of arms of Macedonia. First one is from Joachim Vindark from the 16th century, showing a goat, and basically you could say that this is a chanting arm, because Aiga, the capital of ancient Macedonia, means goat. And then we have the other one with a club of Hercules between 2 horns. This is by Hieronymus Henningens, but also we see this composition same with Petra Sancta. Now we move to Illyrian heraldry. So what's Illyria? Basically, Illyria is an ancient kingdom around the Adriatic Sea. Basically, it has the territory of ex-Yugoslavia, including Albania. But we will be seeing this as a pan-Slavic idea of a joint kingdom from the 16th century idea, and very prominent author from this time is Mavro Urbini, in his books Regno dili Slavi, or the realm of the Slav, in 1601, published, where he launches this idea of Illyria as a pan-Slavic kingdom. There were authors before that, but this is basically when it starts. And in our case, Illyria is a mythical kingdom of Stefan Dusan Nemanja, in center of the story of Illyrian heraldry. Actually, everything started in the maritime republic of Ragusa or Dubrovnik. This is actually, if we see the arrow showing this little peninsula here, where the town or city of Ragusa, Dubrovnik, is settled, and the surrounding territory. It was a rich maritime trading republic, and in this period there is a basically fight between the Holy League and the Ottoman Empire, and Dubrovnik managed for many decades to stay neutral and to play on both sides. It voluntarily paid tribute to the Ottoman Empire, so their ships could trade in the Ottoman port and take different cargoes and bring to Ragusa, so could the European state buy from them. So it became really rich. So, speaking about 15th and 16th century, several rich merchants families from Dubrovnik entered the service of Spanish king and achieved very high position. In order to be accepted as nobles, they started to forge and fabricate genealogies and armorials to share their noble origin. We have to understand here the difference between the idea of granting arms, because in Republic of Dubrovnik, as a republic, as similar to Republic of Venice, people could basically assume coat of arms because there was no authority to give. But in Spain, this concept was not understood, so they had to prove in a different way that they actually have been noble for at least 4 generations. So several copies were done starting from 1590 onwards that claimed to be copies of an 1341 armorial by Stanislav Rupčić, the king of arms of the glorious Illyrian kingdom of Stefan Nemanja. And the mythical story says that those families, like Korenić, Neorić, Ohmučević, Jablanić, they were granted nobility and lands by King Stefan Nemanja. So the armorials basically, apart first from the land coat of arms, have something about 140 family arms, depending on the armorial. Some has less. Okay, the central piece is the Illyrian Dominion arms of King Stefan Nemanja, which has the lands of Macedonia, Slavonia, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Dalmatia, Croatia, Serbia, Raška, and Primorje. As we said, basically these are ex-Yugoslavia land, including Bulgaria, and then 2 escutons with the shield of Nemanja with a double-head eagle, and of Kosacha. Then all these 9 lands presented are shown in a separate coat of arms on a separate page. So Macedonia is first, as being in the first field, is gules, lion, or crown of the same. This is the London armorial. Then we have the Korenić Neorić, 1596. The drawings are pretty similar, and also we could see that there are several, 20 some copies that are considered the Illyrian armorials. And we have 3 more examples from Bologna 1614, from Belgrade 1620, and Foinica from the 16th century. And then, out of those 140 families that are shown, Some of the coat of arms are real, some are attributed, and some are fantasy. Majority are fantasy. Here is the one that actually we could prove that it was a real coat of arms. You see the Brankovic, the seal of Brankovic we already saw. We have the same composition of the shield. The crest is a little bit different, but at least it gives some historicity. Okay, then the second one is the Illyrian armorials, which are basically personal coat of arms with 9 land coat of arms. Why we say land? Those are not territorial, so there is not a real coat of arms of a territory or administration, but of a land as an idea. Stematographia is basically also armorial, but only of land, and according to the explanation, is the land of coat of arms of lands where the Slavic is spoken. It's now much wider idea than ex-Yugoslavia or the Adriatic coast. It was compiled, it has more than 50 coat of arms. It's compiled by Paul Ritter Vitezovic. It was published in Latin, first time printed in Vienna in 1701. And then we have the Slavonic translation by Christopher Jefarovich, printed also in Vienna in 1741. Basically, it will be the main source for heraldry for many, many centuries for the Southern Slav. This will have 3 more publications, and we see Macedonia, coat of arms of Macedonia, and we see here the lion gules on a filled ore, and this is hand painted because the armorial is just printed, but it's with Petra Sancta. It's hatched with Petra Sancta, so it's easy to be painted. Jefarovich we have here 1741, and then we saw basically that Macedonian coat of arms with majority of the time is with a lion, or attributed arms of King of Macedonia, and it could be either gules lion or lion gules. But then the first book in about herald in Macedonia is Alexander Matkovsky in his book Coat of Arms of Macedonia in 1970, which were based on the handwritten manuscript. He came to a conclusion that Macedonian coat of arms is only gules a lion or, while or a lion gules is of Bulgaria. But the discrepancy we saw just a few minutes ago, he explains it was a mistake done by Vitezovic while making the stematographias by replacing the similar images. But in his, so launching his color switch theory, but if we see gules lion or is predominant in written manuscripts, but were or lion gules in printed armorials, and of course because printed armorials is much more shared, this idea could prevail. As you see, the basically the manuscripts and coat of arms of Macedonia mentioned in his own book, we'll see that basically 13 are or lion gules, and for all of this he gives this explanation, strange explanation of the mistake done by Vitezovic. However, Matkovsky did not check or did not like what was written on the second part of the Stematographia. We give an explanation. We see this from Bulgarian one. It says the Bulgarian bears a tawny lion crowned in a red field, armed. In certain manuscripts they found a red lion upon a golden field, which is Macedonia. So it was no mistake, no space for a mistake. But for description of Macedonian, it says a little bit different. Macedonia distinguished itself with a red lion on a golden field. Some believe that was the emblem of Greece. Certain writers add that before the time of Alexander the Great, Epirus used a red Molossian symbol, later raised between the horn of buffaloes or of a bull after the cult of Hercules, and so on. So basically, this is written. We could find something 20 years or 10 years before that. The Vincenzo Coronelli map in 1612 gives this, the two with a dog, with a Molossian dog, Macedonia before Alexander, and then with the club between two horns of Macedonia after Alexander. Then we go to contemporary heraldry, when heraldry basically out of these European sources come on the field in Macedonia. First we see the monastery of St. Ivan of Ril at the coat of arms of Macedonia. This was painted 1844 to 46, and then on the flag of Razlovci uprising in 1876. Both cases we see the red lion or golden field, and then lion becomes popular in the Ilinden uprising of 1903. So you could see a Krakow detachment and then a wedding banner. Then Macedonia, first as a state, was constituted in aftermath of World War II, and the first coat of arms, so-called coat of arms of Republic of Macedonia, was passed on the 26th of July 1946, and is a classical socialist heraldry, landscape heraldry, with a field encircled by ears of wheat and different agricultural culture. Here we have poppy and tobacco, and at the bottom we have the ribbon with national embroidery, and in the center we have a rising sun behind a mountain. The same concept, socialist, that we see this in coat of arms of the Soviet Union, and then in the old Soviet Union republics, and also other socialist republics using this concept of so-called socialist landscape heraldry. Then after the independence in 1991, a competition for the state symbol was held, and the three finalists with their proposal are shown here. They're all around lion or a sun, but then the commission did not like any of those proposals and asked the three finalists to come up with a design of a sun, same design for the flag and for the coat of arms. And this is the proposal, but apart from the proposal, many of the members of parliament gave many other proposals, and at the end, basically, when the flag with the sun was passed on the 11th of August 92, a similar coat of arms was prepared, but it was basically not accepted, because the leading party, VMRO, DPMN, they went back to their proposal with a historical coat of arms. Then we have another proposal. One is the 1994 proposal of Miroslav Grchev, who basically, when he was doing the change of the flag, during the process of finding out the sun to represent Macedonia, he made also coat of arms similar to the design, coming out of the same principle that the flag and the coat of arms should be similar. Also, we could see here present, it's a Croatian crown is present with the same form with a different meaning. And then one of the proposal was basically to do the so-called Slovenian solution, which means to put the central of the coat of arms to strip off all the socialist paraphernalia and to use it on the shield. But the official arm of Republic of Macedonia was passed only in 2009 by replacing, actually removing the 5-pointed red star. It was announced as a provisional coat of arms until a real coat of arms is designed, and the last official proposal of the government was this, based on the coat of arms of Macedonia by Jerome de Bara. And now let's switch to municipal heraldry. The municipal heraldry in Macedonia practically started after the World War II with a heavy influence from the Soviet ideas of heraldry, and as you could see here, a symbol of working class and of the villagers. So we have here always, we have the factories, we have Wilcock, or we have but also we have mountain and we have agricultural. This was the idea in the 60s and the 70s. The first time a coat of arms was mentioned was in the 1996 law on units of local self-government, in the Article 7 and in the Article 10 of the same law from 2004. It's saying that the units of local self-government may have their own coat of arms and flag. Those coat of arms are almost all obtained with a public bid, and almost all calls for the proposal states that the arms should include elements that represented the historical tradition, cultural heritage, landscape characteristic, geographical, economic, and other characteristics of the given municipality. So it will translate it into put all you can. So here is the example of the so-called coat of arms of municipality of Kislovoda. We could see here everything: mountain, river, church, factory, ruins, and so on, so on. So some of the so-called coat of arms are just logos, having nothing in common with coat of arms, and majority are having this landscape idea, having the natural characteristic, economic characteristic, as you could see, but still we have some, I would say, some better options. So therefore, Macedonian Heraldic Society in 2013 has developed this Macedonian territorial heraldic system for the coat of arms of the municipalities, and we have basically 3 displays with the lesser and greater arms. It's consisted of shield and then a crown, mural crown or palisade crown, basically defining the status, the legal status of the municipality, and then is also branches or wreath that shows the natural characteristic of that municipality. The first one we did in 2013 is of Radovish. We could see that Radovish had coat of arms from the 1960s with these factories and tobacco and all other socialist landscape heraldry. Then in 1990s they made improvement to the coat of arms, and then this is the one. We could see Skopje is the oldest coat of arms, basically from the 1928, 1930, but is also having this landscape idea of stone bridge with river Vardar and the mountain and the fortress. Excuse me. And now we have several excuse me, several municipal coat of arms. These are with palisade, with the rural municipalities. These are some proposals. And then this is the coat of arms of Macedonian Heraldic Society and the coat of arms of office of the heralds and pursuivants. We did the coat of arms of President of the Republic of Macedonia, of the coat of arms of the office, and then of Macedonian Orthodox Church. And there are some, just few samples of the corporate arms and personal arms. And that will be all. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you could post it. Thank you.